We are the first generation in human history to never be truly alone. Our brains are tethered to a digital hive mind that never sleeps. But what happens to the human biology when that tether is snapped? When the noise of the routine is replaced by the deafening silence of nature? To find out, I spent 168 hours trapped on a deserted island. No signal, no routine, no escape. This is the science of the island protocol. The island protocol is not a vacation. It is the absolute limit of Protocol 7. While the 7-day dopamine reset was a recalibration, this is a total extraction. Most people are walking around with a brain hijacked by billion-dollar algorithms. By removing every variable, no signal, no routine, no human interaction, we are forcing the brain into a state of biological zero. Over the next 168 hours, we will document the 3 stages of the sovereign rebirth. We are here to answer one question: who are you when the world isn't watching? This is the highest form of Protocol 7. This is the island. The tether is snapped. For the first 4 hours, your brain is in a state of echo. You will feel your leg twitch instinctively. You will reach for a pocket that is empty. This is the digital ghost, a neurochemical reflex that has been programmed into your nervous system over a decade of scrolling. By hour 8, the boredom begins to feel heavy. It isn't a lack of things to do, it is a lack of variable rewards. Your brain is a dopamine addict that has just been cut off from its supply. The prefrontal cortex is screaming for a like, a share, or a notification. The island is beautiful, but your mind is convinced it is a prison. As you reach the 16-hour mark, the silence becomes aggressive. Your internal monologue, the voice you've been silencing with music and podcasts, starts to get louder. This is the neural static. Without the digital filter, you are forced to listen to every thought you've been avoiding. The crash is no longer coming. It is here. By hour 20, the digital withdrawal turns physical. Irritability becomes a biological reflex. The sound of the waves, the heat of the sun, the very air on your skin, it all feels like an intrusion. In the lab, we call this sensory hypersensitivity. Without the digital numbing effect of a screen, your nervous system is raw and exposed. You are a biological machine running on a fractured operating system, and the urge to find a signal, it is a survival instinct. The final 4 hours of day 1 are the quietest and the loudest. As you sit in total darkness, the internal noise peaks. Every suppressed memory, every anxiety you've hidden behind a scroll, and every doubt about your future comes to the surface. This is the midnight mirror. There is no blue light to distract you, no notification to save you. You are witnessing the death of the consumer self. Most people break here. The pain is the bridge to biological zero. T-minus 144 hours remain. Day 1 is complete. You have survived the crash, but the recalibration has only just begun. Your brain is no longer looking for a phone. It is starting to look for you. The second sunrise on the island brings a strange, quiet clarity. The neural crash of the first 24 hours has subsided, leaving behind a nervous system that is finally coming back online. This is the sensory rebirth. For years, your reality was filtered through a 5-inch glass screen. Now, the filter is gone. Suddenly, the world is in high definition. You aren't just seeing the island, you are perceiving it. In the lab, we call this sensory sensitization. Without the digital flood of billion-dollar algorithms, your dopamine receptors are finally beginning to upregulate. You will find that the water tastes sweeter. The scent of the salt air is no longer background noise. It is a physical sensation. The colors of the jungle are more vivid than any 4K display you've ever owned. Your brain is no longer looking for a notification. It is looking at reality for the first time in a decade. But the rebirth isn't just external. Internally, the neural static is fading. Your internal monologue is no longer a chaotic storm of anxieties. It is becoming a focused stream of consciousness. Without the constant input of music, podcasts, and social noise, Your brain is forced to generate its own internal rhythm. You are beginning to experience deep presence, a state of being that is physically impossible for the average consumer to achieve. You have survived the death of your digital self. Now, you are witnessing the birth of the sovereign. But do not be fooled by the clarity. Day 2 is merely the foundation. The real work of the extraction is yet to come. On the third day, the digital proxy officially dies. For years, your cognition was a collection of curated headlines and algorithmic echoes. But now, the silence of the island has acted as a solvent, stripping away the layers of artificial noise. What remains is a raw, high-frequency focus. In the lab, we call this neural pruning, the brain's way of killing weak, distracted pathways to make room for a singular, dominant intent. By hour 60, the brain undergoes a biological coup. Blood flow begins to retreat from the amygdala, the seat of fear and reactive scrolling, and migrates to the prefrontal cortex. This is the executive pivot. You are moving from a state of constant defense to a state of calculated offense. Your brain is no longer scanning the environment for a threat or a notification. It is scanning the environment for utility. Notice the change in your physical presence. Your movements are more deliberate. Your breathing is deeper. Without the constant cortisol spikes of digital notifications, your nervous system has entered a state of optimized readiness. Metabolic energy is no longer being wasted on processing thousands of microstimuli. Instead, that energy is being diverted to the prefrontal cortex, the seat of human strategy and complex visualization. By the end of day 3, the brain has successfully transitioned to a new operating system. You have moved from a reactive state to a proactive one. The clarity you feel is not a temporary high. It is the restoration of your natural biological state. You are no longer looking for a notification. You are looking at reality through a lens of absolute precision. The foundation of the extraction is set. Day 3 is over. Day 4 marks the surgical transition from restoration to optimization. In the lab, we call this the deep forge. By this stage, the dopamine baseline has not only stabilized, it has begun to recalibrate to natural stimuli. The neural static that plagued the first 72 hours is gone, replaced by a cold, crystalline focus. Your brain's metabolic energy is no longer being spent on resisting the urge to scroll. Instead, that power is being funneled into the executive command center. You will notice a physical change in your cognition. You are no longer processing information through a digital filter. You are operating at a higher frequency. This is the high alpha flow state. In this biological window, the prefrontal cortex operates with zero friction. Complex problems that once felt overwhelming now appear as simple, solvable equations. Without the digital noise, your visualization capacity has expanded. You aren't just observing reality. You are architecting it with surgical precision. This is where the consumer is permanently erased and the sovereign is forged. Day 4 is the biological point of no return. Your nervous system has successfully decoupled from the billion-dollar algorithms. You have reclaimed your most valuable asset, your cognitive sovereignty. The silence of the island is no longer a void, it is a laboratory. You are now armed with a mind that 99% of the population will never possess. The foundation is solid. The forge is hot. The extraction is inevitable. By the 5th day, the deep forge has finished its primary work. We are now entering neural reconstruction. Your brain is no longer simply functioning, it is expanding. In the lab, we observe a phenomenon called structural plasticity. The gray matter of your prefrontal cortex is physically thickening, while the white matter tracks are becoming high-velocity highways for logic and strategy. You have successfully bypassed the human average. You aren't just thinking faster, you are thinking differently. The architecture of your mind has been rebuilt for absolute sovereignty. This shift is not merely cognitive, it is metabolic. Your mitochondria are now operating with peak efficiency, fueling a state of hyperfrontality that allows you to process complex variables with zero emotional friction. The neural static of the consumer world has been replaced by a rhythmic, high-frequency pulse. You are no longer a victim of your environment. You are the architect of it. The island has done its work. Your nervous system is now a closed loop of high-performance output. The debris of your old self has been cleared, leaving behind a mind that is sharp, cold, and ready to dominate the extraction. The countdown to the return has begun. By day 6, the protocol shifts from internal chemistry to external output. In the lab, we call this behavioral override. At this stage, motivation is completely obsolete. Your brain is no longer waiting for a feeling or an inspiration to move. Action has become automated. You wake up, you execute, you repeat. The friction between thought and execution has dropped to absolute zero. Your daily habits are no longer managed by emotional choice. They are hard-coded into your nervous system like an automated script. You are now operating as a pure producer in a world designed for consumers. The old identity has been completely overwritten by a system built for leverage. You do not negotiate with fatigue. You simply run the program. The override is absolute. Day 7 is not an end. It is a launchpad. In the lab, we call this the extraction. The 168-hour quarantine is officially over. You are walking back into the civilian world, but you are not the same man who left it. Your neural pathways have been structurally re-engineered. Your baseline is reset. While the average consumer around you is still chasing high-velocity digital distractions, you are operating with total cognitive sovereignty. The island has done its work. The forge is cold. The program is hard-coded. You are no longer surviving the matrix. You are actively extracting from it. Go out, run the script, and claim the payout. The return is absolute. Protocol 7 completed.